All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to break down one of the most misunderstood archetypes out there, the quote-unquote bad boy. We're going to really unpack what our source material says this actually is, and, well, it's probably not what you think it is. So let's start with a simple question, just to get us all on the same page here. When you hear that phrase, bad boy, what immediately pops into your head? Is it some kind of criminal, a rebel without a cause, or maybe just a jerk? Yeah, let's challenge that idea. Okay, so here's the absolute core distinction we need to make. You've got the Hollywood myth on one side, right? The one we all know. But on the other side, this is the definition from our source material. A man who is just unapologetically himself. He's not out there asking for permission just to exist. Right, so first things first, let's just completely toss that myth out the window. We are not talking about being a bad person here, not at all. We're talking about a very specific mindset. So you might be asking, how does this actually work? Well, the entire archetype, according to our source, is built on one single foundation, and that is emotional sovereignty. This right here, this is the key concept we absolutely have to grasp. So what even is that? What is emotional sovereignty? It's basically a state where a man's sense of his own worth, it comes from the inside. It's generated internally. It doesn't go up and down based on what other people think, especially not on validation from women. His value is a constant, It's not a reaction to something else. And you can see this core principle show up in some really clear traits. A guy with emotional sovereignty, he doesn't chase, he doesn't beg, he doesn't over-explain himself, he moves with purpose, with intention, he's prioritizing his own life, his mission, his goals first. He's also totally comfortable with solitude, and this is a big one. His presence is the reward, not the attention he's just handing out to everyone. Okay, so this brings us to let's call it the internal operating system of this archetype, the mindset of indifference. Now, I know that sounds a little harsh, right? But it's not about being cruel. It's really about self-preservation. And this quote here, it reframes indifference just perfectly. See, it's not about ignoring people or being disrespectful. It's about having an emotional boundary. It's the strength to just walk away from conversations or situations that drain you, instead of feeling like you have to fight to stay in them. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, for example, it means you stop texting first when you feel like you've been disrespected. It means pulling your attention back when you feel like it's being taken for granted. The bottom line is, you stop just handing out your energy for free and you start protecting it. And this is where we get to the psychological payoff. A man who isn't, emotionally starving, who doesn't need a woman's validation to feel like he's complete, he just projects a totally different kind of energy. And that self-sufficiency, that complete lack of neediness, that's what's described as being incredibly attractive. All right, so we've really dug into the internal mindset. Now let's shift gears and look at how all of this translates into external actions. How a truly centered man actually navigates the world. Think about this. When he's faced with, say, emotional swings or a bit of chaos, the average guy, he reacts. He panics. He gets pulled right into her chaos and becomes emotional too. But the archetype, he stays composed. He remains steady and grounded, almost like a rock in a storm. He observes what's happening without reacting to it. And that stability, wow, that's a powerful signal of strength. His communication style is also totally different. It's simple, direct, and intentional. He's not just talking to fill up silence or trying to impress anybody. He actually listens more than he speaks. And, get this, according to the source, his silence can be more powerful than another guy's constant effort to say all the right things. And when it comes to rejection, this quote just hits the nail on the head. He moves on instantly. That's it. He doesn't try to negotiate, he doesn't bargain or try to change her mind, he just accepts it and moves on. There's zero clinging, zero desperation. And the reason he can do this is because he gets a fundamental truth about attraction. It's organic. It's either there or it isn't. You can't earn it by debating someone or just by trying really, really hard. And once you accept that, it frees you completely from that need to chase or convince anyone. Okay, so we've built the foundation, we've looked at the mindset, we've seen the actions. Now let's tie it all together and look at the result. Why is this archetype described as being so magnetic? And this comparison really lays it all out. On one side, you have the performer. He's the guy who tries to create attraction. He overgives, he buys affection, he's basically signaling insecurity. But then you have the authentic man, the archetype we're talking about. He generates attraction just by being who he is. He has this self-filtering mindset because he is genuinely not afraid to lose her if it's not a good fit.
And the effect this has on her, it's pretty profound. It means she feels challenged, not coddled. This creates that dynamic tension, what people call chemistry. His stability actually gives her the freedom to let her own femininity flourish. She feels safe to just be herself around him. And what happens? She starts to match his energy.
And this quote right here, it just wraps up the whole idea perfectly. Women don't fall in love with chaos. They fall in love with the calm they feel in the presence of a man who doesn't lose himself. So see, the attraction isn't to the chaos, it's to the calm, the stability. So look, if we have to boil this entire breakdown into one crucial point, this is it. It's not about being a tough guy or being distant or playing some kind of game. The ultimate source of this magnetic attraction, according to our source, is just unwavering self-respect. That's the whole shebang. And we'll just leave you with this final question to think about. This whole archetype is really built on a lack of fear, specifically the fear of losing someone. So the question is, what could you become if you weren't afraid to lose them?